Didn't do a sound check, sorry. I can hear you, Lori.
Recording.
All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. I'm Jenny McCullum, the Chief Procurement Officer for JEA. And before we call the meeting to order, we need to discuss and address a few housekeeping items. So I'm going to pass it to Lasiki Hodges to tee those up for us.
Hey, good morning, committee. I hope you can hear me. If at any point you can't hear me, please let me know and I'll try to do something with my technology on this end. But into having a conversation with Jenny after our last committee meeting, just as a matter of form rather than substance, we do need to designate a chair for this committee. If you recall, we went in, Office of General Counsel, really Julie Davis, doing a lot of great work in revising the JEA's procurement code. And part of it was to change the composition of the members of the committee. It was, in the past where OGC, Office of General Counsel, as well as Jenny McCullum was sitting as actual members of the board, non-voting members, but still members nonetheless. And so with our overhaul of the procurement procedures, that's now changed. And so Office of General Counsel is no longer a member. Jenny McCullum is no longer a member. And this is really good for you for sunshine, reasons. But because of that, we now have a board that's composed of JEA executives. And so like with any board, pursuant to Robert rules, you need to select a chair. And so just to quickly, most of you are very familiar with Robert Rules of Procedures. Jenny's done an outstanding job of really facilitating. In all of your past meetings, none of your motions are impacted because only members, voting members in the past can make motions, and that's still the case today. Only a voting member can second a motion, and then the committee votes. So this is really more an issue of making sure we're consistent with all of our other boards and commissions and consistent with Robert rules. And so nothing's really going to change. So as the chair, once you vote, and we'll do that in a second, but nothing's going to change. Jenny will still tee up each item as the procurement chief, and she'll, give that information and present it to the committee for approval. But really all we need here is a designated chair that's going to basically do what Jenny's kind of been facilitating in the past. So the chair will be the one to say, after Jenny's done her explanation, and if all the questions have been answered by staff, the chair would be the one to ask for a motion to approve the item. The chair would be the one to ask for a second and ask the members if there are any questions. And if there are not any questions, then the chair would call for a vote. So and it's really just as simple as that. Most of your, motions are very straightforward. You really don't deal a lot at this committee level with ancillary motions, which are amendments to motions, but you do always have an OGC person that's here that's staffing the board. So should, the chair at any point in time want to be placed in the proper posture, you just turn to your OGC representative, which actually today, Julie Davis and I are kind of co-staffing this. I'm only here to help you through this election of your chair. So if you don't have any questions, I think we need to select who's going to be the brave leader of this committee. So do you guys have any questions about that position?
Lasikia, this is Stephen. I presume that we'd also have to have a vice chair.
That's up to the committee. I mean, it probably would make good sense for you to have a vice chair in case the chair is absent. But at this point, the main position that we need to have is a chair. But if you want to go ahead and elect the vice chair, you can certainly do that. And the vice chair would automatically step in as the chair should the chair not be present.
Lasiki, I have a quick question. So would any of their delegates, if the chair or the vice chair has a delegate that week, would they become the chair and run the meeting? How would that work?
So that's a good question. We don't really address that in our procurement code, but pursuant to Robert rules, I think as a committee, you could certainly include that in your motion today. That when you elect your chair, whoever the chair's designated alternate is, which you do have the authority to do that pursuant to your procurement code, will serve as the chair for that day. And should that alternate, you know, again, not be present, so there's nobody in that chair's line, then that's when your vice chair would, you know, act as chair. Okay, so does anybody, you know, I hate to, certainly you have to make the decision. I mean, you can have open discussion about this. Any thoughts of who you would want your chair to be?
I think one of you guys could also make a motion to appoint someone and then have discussion and start it that way, whatever you guys feel most comfortable with.
Well, I would recommend that today we select a chair and a vice chair, and as a matter of procedure, if the chair is absent and the delegate is there, then the vice chair takes over. And if both are absent, then the delegate for the chair chairs the meeting.
I agree with that.
I'll second.
So,
Joe Orfano, I'll second.
Did you hear that?
Wait, just 1 second. Did you insert a specific name in that motion? So we need.
No, just right now recommending that we select a chair and a vice chair. And procedurally, if the chair is absent and delegates there, the vice chair chairs the meeting. If both the chair and the vice chair are absent, then the delegate for the chair will chair the meeting.
Right. So what I would recommend is that somebody do, I think that's a really good attempt at a motion. So that's, you know, the first point. But what I would recommend is that you actually make a motion inserting a name in that position as chair. And so the motion, you know, for example, you know, I move that we select Joe Orfano as the chair. And I see Joe shaking his head. Let me get through this example. Just to be clear, you know, I move that we select Joe Orfano as the chair and Stephen as the vice chair. And in any instance where the chair is not available and or the vice chair, their designates, alternates will serve in that role. So that's what the motion looks like as an example. So if somebody could just, and you can break these up if you want to focus on the chair first and then do your vice chair, you can do that. But you know, you're a committee of 5, right? Jenny, do you have 5 members present? And you can also elect people that are attending virtually. So I don't want you to think that it's only the 3 that's sitting at the table. And anyone that's attending virtually can also make this motion as well. Any committee member.
So does anybody want to throw the name in the hat?
Stephen. Joe. Stephen. Laura.
Okay, I want to make the first motion and then we go from there. Well, do I nominate or do I move?
No, move. So a motion to elect Steve Tootin, is that what I'm hearing?
No.
No.
Okay.
No,
Yeah. But it's a motion. I'm sorry, it's a motion.
I'm about to nominate, I guess I could move that we select Stephen Dotz as chair of the committee. And then I think there'll be other motions to follow as vice chair and procedure, but we can start from there.
Joe Orfano, I'll second that motion.
Lock it in.
Okay, and if the committee has any discussion on that, then you can have that discussion now. Okay, if there's no discussion, then all those in favor of electing Stephen Datz as the chair of the Procurement Awards Committee, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so now you have a chair. So now that you have a chair, I'm going to turn it over to the chair. And the chair can lead you through the second motion to elect a vice chair.
Very good. Haidu, would you be opposed to vice chair?
No, I'm going to do that. Thank you.
Okay. I would move that we select Haidu as the vice chair.
Joe Orfano, second.
Stephen, typically after you do that, after you have that second, you would, restate the motion and then ask if there's any discussion on it. If there's no discussion, then you can move right into your vote.
All right. So we are nominating Haidu as the vice chair, Joe Orfano second. Anybody opposed or wanting to discuss further? Okay.
Okay, now that you don't have any discussion, it's just all those in favor, and then you, for the record purposes, particularly since we had the virtual members, it's important to always say any opposed, and that way it's very clear to the public and everybody that they're, whoever's opposing the motion.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Okay. And then you would announce, Stephen, that the motion carried. Okay?
And that motion carried. All right.
All right, so great. So Stephen, I'll just say this last thing. Now that you have a chair, you have your vice chair, you're really just going to, you more so will lead the meeting from an agenda standpoint. So you'll go to your first item that's on the agenda, which I believe was approving the minutes, and you'll do that same repetitive, can I have a motion? Can I have a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? So you'll be the one to direct that, conversation throughout the meeting. But Jenny's role, explaining, teeing up all of these specific awards items, all that's going to remain the same. So when you get to a specific awards item, you just turn it over to Jenny for her to explain that to the committee.
All right.
And don't forget, Stephen, to call the meeting to order, because I have not done that since I was not the chair. So you call it to order with the date, and we always introduce the committee members that are present and then who's being represented by OGC and budget.
Yeah, and let me just clarify that, Stephen, really quick. Although there was no call to order, we're in the meeting as you just taken a vote. So we're definitely in the meeting. So I think it's appropriate, as Jenny just said, to just, move through the agenda, and you should have public comments that are there. You're just now moving through the agenda.
Lasikia, do we need a motion to adopt the agenda as well?
No, typically you don't have to do that. Typically you haven't had a motion to adopt the agenda. Isn't that correct, Jenny? Right, correct. Okay, so yeah, there's no need to do that.
Okay,
And
thank you.
the other thing, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the other thing, Stephen, as well as what we can do after this meeting, I'm happy to meet with you or Julie one-on-one, and we can get a little bit more involved in Robert rules. We just didn't want to take your time up today with that. The immediate issue was just designating the chair and your vice chair. So, all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lasikia.
Yes, thank you. But before we move forward, though, I would like to present a motion that in the event that the chair is not present, vice chair will assume that role. If both are absent, the delegate for the chair would take the position of the chair during the meeting. So I'd like to present that as a motion.
Second.
Any opposed? Any discussion? All right, the motion carries.
We gotta vote.
Oh,
Wait,
vote.
so through the chair, let me make sure. And you'll, we just practice, that's all. But so after you have that second and you restate the motion, which was a perfect motion that you just gave, and you would ask for discussion, and then you want to ask, very pointedly on the record, all those in favor. And then that's when everybody that's on the committee should verbally say aye. And then after they vote, whether they're in favor or not, that's when you want to say all those opposed. And I could have missed it. I apologize because my internet may not be as good. Did you verbally vote on that last motion?
No.
Okay, so
the motion has been presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
perfect. Thank you.
All right. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and transition over to the awards content. We have our meeting minutes from our previous awards committee dated August 26th. Like to present a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
So moved.
Joe Orfano, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Through the
And-
chair.
Yes.
Hey, through the chair, I just wanted to remind you of this. As the chair, this is a small committee. You certainly can make every single motion that's on the agenda. But typically, as the chair, you would ask one of your other 4 members if they wanted to move that item. So I just wanted to point out, just for consistency purposes, that you as the chair don't have to move every single item. You can absolutely ask your other 4 members that are here and present and ready to assist in getting these items approved if they want to move the item, and then another member would second. The chair's in this leadership role where you're just really facilitating the action, on the committee. Okay, does that make sense?
It does.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
All right, Jenny, do we pause at this time for public comment?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Lynn, do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
And for the record, there's nobody in attendance other than Haibu, Joe, and myself. So with that, Jenny, do you want to present the first award number 2?
Sure. I would just quickly ask if there's any public comment with anyone on the phone, since we are in a hybrid mode.
Stephen, you want to recognize Laura and Todd Skinner?
So I'm not hearing any public comment, Stephen. So yes, I will take it from here if you guys are good with that. So we'll go over award number 2. It is a
Jenny?
renewal.
Jenny, I apologize. Just a quick introduction of the team members. We have Haibu, Joe, Stephen Datz, Todd Skinner, and Laura Dutton as the committee members. And then Lori Whitmer we have for our budget representative, and Lucikia Hodges and Julie Davis from OGC.
Great, thank you. Award number 2 is a renewal. This is for our Cisco Contact Center and phone system managed services. Prosus is our awardee and our recommended awardee in the amount of $64,496.34. This is a renewal which is allowable under the original contract term. We, just for some background, advertised this and competitively bid and awarded informally in September of 2020, and that was for a one-year term. We received 4 responses, and just some notes in the background talks about prior to the original informal award and contract being executed during negotiation, due to security concerns, the contract term was adjusted to have a domestic dedicated support team in lieu of shared resources that resided outside the United States. So this ensured that the vendor would follow JEA's established security practices for remote access, with JEA provided the AD network access and credentials. In addition, the external access to JEA's environment by third-party monitoring software were restricted and required the company to use JEA's monitoring and remediation tools. So as a result, to account for the adjustment, the pricing structure was changed to a 6-month term, and it was at a rate of about $32,000 a month, opposed to the 12-month term at $12,000 a month. So you can see a big shift when we shifted back to U.S. support versus a remote hybrid outside of the U.S. So the original bid came in under $300,000. We were just trying to, try that out for 6 months for a short period of time. And this request specifically is to do a partial increase of months, a partial renewal, if you will, of 2 months from September 1st to the end of October. And we would add the 2 additional months of funding, which is the roughly over 64,000. We're currently rebidding these services, and we're in the evaluations. So adding these 2 months will allow time for the new contract and award to be executed and transitioned to a new supplier if necessary. But we are going through those steps right now. So I will ask the committee if you guys have any questions or comments from procurement or from the business. All right, seeing none, I will pass it back to the chair.
Jenny, I did notice on page 14, right there at the bottom, the total should be $293,489.02.
Oh, the original award total?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see that, Lynn, that paragraph before the request?
Yes, we'll get it fixed.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll also, just for clarity, in the second paragraph, we'll include a statement to be clear that JEA received 6 months of managed services that began on March 1st of 2021. I think that'll present it in the right way. All right.
Okay, thank you. We will make those updates. Any other comments? All right, I'll pass it to the chair for a motion.
Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
Defer to the committee for a motion.
I vote so moved.
Joe Orfano, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any of those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
Great, thank you. Award number 3 is a contract increase, a final partial renewal. Some history, this is for our solar battery customer rebates. Back in October of 2017, JEA approved an incentive to support customers who installed their own solar energy generation system. The program with clear results took effect April 1st of 2018. Customers who purchased a battery that is charged by their own renewable energy generation system would receive receive a rebate from JEA. So Clear Results is our awardee, and we're recommending a partial renewal, and I'll get into the details of that, but the amount of this award is $818,112.50. Again, this was an informal originally. We advertised this back in, December of 17 for a one-year renewal, as this was a new program for us. So we typically will do a shorter term in the beginning with optional renewals. And so they've taken us through the 1 year, and we've adopted through the committee the two of the 3-year renewal options. And then back in November of 2020, a partial renewal, which would have been the 3rd renewal option, was approved at the awards committee for just a partial amount of time. And the idea was to co-term with the other energy efficiency contracts that we were rebidding, and we're currently doing what we're calling a mega bid for the energy efficiency products that we have as a whole. And so we're taking kind of all the different contracts that we're combining into one, and we're trying to co-term that. So you've seen us bring these to the committee, which is why we have done partials instead of fulls, trying to get through that bidding process. Some of the bidding had been delayed a little bit. We had to extend and do some things, but we are in the final stages. And so the team feels that this partial renewal will get us through the end result of the bidding process. I'm going to pause there and see if the business has anything that they want to add. I think probably important to talk a little bit about what the increase covers. It is a pretty big increase compared to the other ones that we've had, but I think this due to the growth of the program. But I'll let the business talk about that a little bit if you guys would like to.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. And just a little context on this, the actual vendor fees, and it's about 50-50, is probably 2% of the request. The 98% of the request is focused on customer rebates. And as some of you may know from some of the marketing communications we put out, we're also transitioning our incentive amount from a historic legacy amount of $4,000 per battery system, reducing it to $2,000 per battery system. So when you look at some of the line item fees, you'll notice a slight transition. And as Jenny said, we've had fairly explosive growth in customer adoption of battery systems. We have approximately 370 to maybe 400 systems in the queue to get processed and eligible for rebate compensation. So that's driving a lot of the escalation in the request.
Great, thank you. Any comments or questions from the awards committee members?
Jenny, this is Stephen. I did have this is just a general question. On page 32, and I understand the desire to co-term the contractual, elements of the document. Should there be the renewal option showing like 42 days remaining as opposed to being blank?
Great question. We had talked about the same thing prior to, we certainly can, if we wanted to make sure that we've got those 42 days, if you will, left, if we needed to utilize them. I had originally talked to Nathan about just taking it through, the rest of this year and not leaving out those, that extra month, just to give us some leeway. We certainly could co-term and start the new contract with all the others, just to simplify it. But we left it as is, and I think we could do it either way. It's up to the committee if you guys want to change.
I would prefer that we include it because Award 2 had less than a year on it as well, and I just want to have that consistency.
Okay. We will make that. Nathan, if you'll get with Lynn to make that update.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. If there's no other questions or comments, I'll pass it back to the chair for a motion.
Thank you, Jenny. Defer to the committee for a motion.
Laura Dutton, motion to approve.
Joe Orfano, second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any members opposed? Motion carried.
Great. You're doing great, Stephen.
Yeah.
Award number 4, this is an invitation for bid. This is for the purchase and installation of generators for JEA lift stations. This is for the equipment install, test, and a complete self-contained automatic standby emergency generator system per the JEA standards. The contractor will submit engineered drawings to JEA for approval. All of these sites are a little bit different, and so they're all going to need, kind of their own configuration. So we put this out to bid with 18 different sites, and we included one alternate site, and requested bids for each individual site. So they could bid on all of them, they could bid on some of them, and then once we received the bids per line, we looked at low bid. So these are all considered kind of small projects within that are very similar throughout the JEA territory. The results of that with the recommendation to the committee would be to award 2 contracts, one to Zabat Engine Services, Inc., doing business as Zabat Power Systems, in the amount of $3,294,553. And then the second awardee is Ring Power Corporation, and the amount is $708,400. We are expecting all of these to be completed by June of 2022, and all the send will be in FY22. We received 4 bids, so good competition. And then I'll just note, so the pricing came in higher than what the budget, they put their budget together back in 2021, a while ago. And you guys correct me on when you guys finalized your budget for this, but it did come in over budget. And so, there's not a lot of wiggle room for them to increase that piece. And so what they're choosing to do, what the business is doing, is they're going to only award 15 sites so that they can remain within their budget. The 4 sites that are not selected either were just low maintenance risks or will be completed during other projects that they can wrap in maybe to another capital project. These units will be added, if not done in one of those other ways. The units will be added to the budget for replacement as needed in FY23 through 25. So this is an ongoing, every year you're going to see us add some of these to our stations for resiliency, et cetera. So I will pause and see if you guys have any questions or comments.
Jenny, this is this is more of a curiosity than anything else. If William or Matt can answer. You know why Ring Power was very selective in their bids? They only bid on a few of the sites, and I was just curious to see why.
I couldn't hear you very well. Hi, I'm sorry. Did the business hear his question?
Yeah, I'll answer the question. Haivu, I spoke to Ring Power. They said they wanted to tackle the ones they thought they had the best chance of getting. So those are the only ones they bid on. And it's also a matter of equipment availability in their company.
Thank you, William.
Thank you,
Todd.
William. So, go ahead.
I got a question, I guess, for the business too. You know, with them just doing 2 sites, just curious if we factored in maintenance and parts, having 2 different, you know, systems, especially with Ring Power, with only doing a couple sites. It's a pretty small footprint to keep up with, you know, a different set of equipment, if you will. Just curious if that was factored into our decisions.
So
Yeah,
if the business
I'll take that.
to chime in, yeah, on our maintenance contract, and this is just for the install, correct?
Yeah, Todd, Jenny, I'll take that. So Todd, yeah, we have 4 approved manufacturers / suppliers of emergency generators. Again, you know, it's always our intent is to try to keep as many parts issues and supply down. So again, you know, we have to bid these out year to year, and we're always going to have a mixed bag of the 4 that we would get. So you know, we still have a contract for maintenance under one of the suppliers. Again, and we bid that out separately, but for the installs, we'll always have a, you know, 30, 60, or, you know, 10 deal. And we try to spread it out, you know, based off of the workload that each vendor can support for the installs.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, Stephen, I'll pass it back to you.
All right, this is Stephen Datz. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Haibu, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any members opposed? Motion carried.
Great. Through the chair, I'll start with award number 5. This is an emergency award for JEA's primary data center relocation and emergency operations location office space. So we have a current contract with Cologix. This is our recommended awardee in the amount of $1,280,851.59. Little history. Back in 2018, Cologix was selected and awarded a contract as a sole source vendor to relocate the JEA primary data center and continue to serve as a backup emergency operations center office space for us. The decision behind the sole source was due to a number of reasons regarding the location, having good reliability, security, size requirements, strong capitalization. The Cologix location offers a Cat 5 storm rated building, and the building is closer to JEA than some of the other options that were out there, which is limited because of the Cat 5 building structure. And so extending JEA's existing core fiber communication ring directly into a privately controlled access area makes this location just an even better choice for us. So we sole sourced this. Back in FY19, we had approved 2 administrative increases through procurement of about $80,000 for the construction cost to build out the space there as they relocated. This request is to add 3 additional dedicated office spaces that will accommodate JEA moving the entirety of the EOC to Cologix as we transition to the new headquarters building. And of that award, of our award amount, that's a little over $515,000. And I wanted to point that out just because when we talk about some of the savings and why we went forward with this as an emergency to capture some of those savings, the savings all surround that $515,000. Just so from a comparison standpoint, you could see relative to the percent of savings that we're getting was based off of that portion of this award. We also have, in reviewing all of the different pieces and parts to this contract, we've also captured previous agreements required to improve the original space of JEA's primary data center. which is a little, I guess it's a 595,000 and some change. So things that we've done to the space to improve since 2018. And so we also discovered that the original award amount did not include the 2% annual increase every 12 months for all the service agreements associated with not only this new lease, but the previous lease. So the lease originally was a 60-month term. We have about 27 months left. And so what we're doing is we're adding, what that 2% would have been for the original increase after the first 12 months through the rest of the term. So we have enough money on the contract because it's a 5-year contract, but some money has been spent for, whether it was the 2% annual increase that we didn't account for, so that drew down on the cap, and some of these improvements drew down on the cap. We also noticed that the original contract term didn't capture the first 3 months of the construction build out of the space for the primary data center. And so the actual begin date for the 5-year lease didn't start until November 21 of 2018. So due to that oversight, we are also adjusting the contract end date by 3 months so it aligns with our actual 60-month lease of the space. I know that's a lot. I'm just going to go over from a savings perspective, kind of why we're presenting this to the committee as an emergency. So through negotiations with these 3 new spaces, JEA was able to leverage some of that negotiations into savings if we sign the agreement by the end of August. So through VP approval of that, it was decided to move forward with the emergency. In doing so, we got a reduction in the square footage, the rate that we pay for the lease. They reduced that for the remaining 27 months for the new spaces. So this is just around the new space. So we have a lower reoccurring charge for the new space, and that saves us about $22,000 over the the remaining term of that lease, which is November of 2023. They gave us a discount towards any ceiling and framework that may need to be done to those spaces. So that was $20,000 that we can put towards that. And then conversion of traditional lighting to LED lights at no cost to JEA. It's going to cost them $23,000 to do that. So all of those things wrapped in, what this is doing is securing the lease so that we can have those 3 spaces, and then we can do the build out how we see fit, which will possibly come back to the awards committee. We are in this is approved, was approved by Alan, and so now we are working with a facilities continuing services contract to do the engineering and the design of that space. Once that is complete, we'll have a better understanding of the additional funds needed to build that space out. And so we can do that one of 2 ways. We'll cover that through procurement, which can approve up to 10%, or we'll bring it back to the committee if it's over the 10% of the new award amount. If the cost is going to be over that, then we'll have to bring it back to the committee for approval. So there's kind of there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to this, but this award amount does not include the construction build out of what we need to do for these 3 new spaces. Just covers us through the lease, and then it gets us to, reconcile that term, and then add additional funds for things that have happened since 2018 from a improvement or an escalation of the lease square footage. So I'm going to stop there and ask you guys if you have any questions or comments.
Jenny, it's Joe. Could I state for the record that this option with CoLogix is a significant cost savings relative to constructing a separate standalone hardened facility downtown. For those that are not aware, I believe that facility was going to be in a neighborhood of 40,000 square feet downtown on the La Villa property. And this option was presented to the extended leadership team and got complete support from our extended leadership team in terms of the significant savings in a facility that we were already in. So I'd just like to state that for the record.
That's a really important piece as well, and why we made this decision. So thank you, Joe. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair.
All right, at this time, I'd like to defer to the committee for a motion.
Joe Orfano, so moved.
All right, second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Any members opposed? All right, motion carried.
All right, wonderful. So through the chair, award number 6 is a change order. This is for Greenland Water Reclamation Facility pipelines. So water, reclaimed water, and sanitary sewer force mains. This project is being delivered by using our progressive design build delivery method. Garney Companies, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $476,782. We are expected to have this project completed in January of 2024. We originally approved this through the committee on June 20th, 2019, and a little over $3.6 million to Garney. We've done 6 administrative contract amendments, all less than 10% of the original award, which we've spelled out in the table above. You can see some of those, the additional reclaimed water modeling in the amount of $45,000. So it's kind of small things that have come up along the way. The business and procurement have agreed to move forward with. So this scope of work for the amendment includes design of approximately 9,500 feet of 24-inch reclaimed water main from just north of JEA Bartram Repump Station to the new Greenland Water Reclamation Facility. On the west end of the new 24-inch reclaimed water main will tie into our existing 20-inch reclaimed water main west of the existing T to the Bartram repump station, so that all of the Mandarin Water Reclamation Facility reclaimed water flow will be redirected into the new 24-inch. So Garney will also install a valve between the 24-inch tie-in point and the existing T that leads to the Bartram, to the Bartram repump station. This amendment request also includes services during construction for the final design, which is being done by Mont McDonald, and for all of the pipeline projects. It is anticipated this amendment will be the last one, design-related increase to the contract. And once we reach 90% design, Garney will prepare a GMP, which is our guaranteed maximum price for the construction of the pipeline. So that, the progressive design build, they're working, alongside, and we believe that this increase that is being brought to the awards committee is approximately 47% lower than our estimate due to adding this pipeline to the existing route for the other Greenland Water Reclamation Facility pipelines, cost savings on the route study and explorations, et cetera. I'll ask if the business has anything else they want to add. All right, any questions or comments from the committee? All right, seeing none, I will pass it back to the chair.
All right, ask the committee for a motion.
I move, so moved.
Stephen Datt, second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any members opposed? Motion carried.
Wonderful. Through the chair, award number 7 is a contract amendment. This is for engineering services for the Greenland Water Reclamation Facility. This project is being built using the construction management at risk method. Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $10,908,096.08. We're expected this project to be completed in December of 2024. For some history, it was originally approved by the Awards Committee in January of 2019, a little over $5 million to Jacobs. An administrative contract amendment was issued for about $500,000 to finalize the access road design and to start the redesign of components due to some changes that were requested by JEA. And then on October of 2020, the Awards Committee approved a contract increase of about $5.5 million for the final design of the new water reclamation facility. This contract amendment provides for services during construction for the construction of the full water reclamation facility site. The amendment request also includes construction management services to inspect and review the construction of the site. The total pricing for engineering, construction, or services during construction and construction management services are approximately 4.5 below the estimate. And we negotiated hourly rates in the original contract, so we've used those rates throughout the life of this contract to date. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? All right, seeing none, I will pass it back to the chair.
All right, ask the committee for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Joe Orfano, second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any members opposed? All right, motion carried.
Wonderful. Through the chair, award number 8 is a low bid for the sewer main cleaning and CCTV inspection of JEA sanitary sewer mains in a variety of locations throughout the JEA service territory. Also to assist JEA sewer maintenance and construction crews with jetback combo truck assistance. The recommended awardee is Enviro Waste Services Group, Inc., and we are awarding this to the budget of $1.2 million. This is a continuing services contract for a 3-year term, and we put this out to bid for low bid, and we received 8, which was great competition. So the workbook that we have the unit prices listed in will be used as the basis for billing for each of the task orders issued under this contract. And when we compare the unit prices to the current contract, they are the same. So we have deemed those reasonable, and the unit prices are fixed for the first 3 years. So if we choose to exercise the renewal options, the unit prices may increase by CPI, which is our consumer price index. I'll ask the committee if you guys have any questions or comments. All right, seeing none, I'll pass it back to the chair.
Ask the committee for a motion.
High-Vu, so moved.
Stephen Dat, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any members opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 9 is a joint project. This is with the Florida Department of Transportation in accordance with the JEA FDOT Master Agreement. And this is for the resurfacing or the utility construction costs associated with the FDOT Timaquana Road resurfacing from West Connect Boulevard to US 17. Florida Department of Transportation is our recommended awardee. We prepay for construction to them before, based off of their engineer's estimates. So they would get the funding ahead of time, and if the bids come in lower, they'll refund us. If they come in higher, we come back to the awards committee and request a change order to add the additional funds. But this is in the amount of $2,058,726.83. And the project is expected to be completed in April of 2023. It includes, so our water main, JEA's water main and sewer mains are within the FDOT project footprint. So this project will replace portions of these pipe within the project limits of the FDOT Timaquana Road resurfacing West Connect to US 17 project. The design consultant has completed the water main and the force main design associated with the roadway project per JEA water and wastewater standards and specifications. So JEA's utility construction work will be included, like I said, in the FDOT bid and constructed by FDOT contractors via the terms of our existing master agreement. In doing so, the roadway restoration costs will be minimized, so that is a bonus. Per the terms of the master agreement, again, we prepay them for the estimated value of the construction work. Do we have any questions or comments from the awards committee? All right, seeing none, I'll pass it back to the chair.
Defer to the committee for a motion.
Joe Arfano, so moved.
Havu, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any members opposed? Motion carried.
Wonderful. Through the chair, our last award is award number 10. This is an IFB. This is for our NGS Unit 3 condenser partial retube project. American Efficiency Services LLC is our recommended awardee, excuse me, in the amount of $692,455.50. Project completion is estimated December of 2021. We had 3 bids that were received, and the award amount is approximately 2% below the budget estimate, which also includes a 10% SWA. So good pricing on this one, and I will pass it to the committee if you guys have any questions or comments. All right, seeing none, I'll pass it back to the chair.
Thank you, Jenny. I'd like to defer to the committee for a motion.
Todd.
All right.
I'll second.
There we go. I do have the motion. Todd got the second. And with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any members opposed? Motion carried.
All right, so we have reviewed all of the items that are presented on the agenda today. They've all been approved by the awards committee. And I typically, Stephen, would ask if there's any other business to come before the awards committee. If it's something you want to ask the committee, you certainly can. And then if not, you can adjourn the meeting.
Okay. I'd like to open up the floor for any comments or questions, topics that need to be discussed at this time. All right, not hearing any. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job.